Hi guys, this is Baylor Cook, Strength and Conditioning video project number 2, Olympic weightlifting oriented. If you haven't seen the first one, second one basically just a project in a class where I have to make a bunch of exercise variations. 3 variations per exercise, 6 exercises, 6 modalities, 2 exercises per modality. So you're going to see 36 exercises. And I'm just going to do voiceovers over it, and we're going to do it in segments this time because the first video assessment, it's not even uploading, and it's been like 2 days, so we're going to break it up. So this is part 1. Hope you enjoy. Okay, warm up. What you're going to need: assault bike or any form of cardio, barbell or any type of weight. Barbell preferred. What are you going to use those things for? So assault bike for 5 minutes. Again, any type of cardio just for 5 minutes. Rhythmic, repetitive movements of all of your body. Specific warm-up, 3 rounds, so 10 good mornings, 10 squats, 10 deadlifts, 10 upright row, 10 behind forward alternating press, 5 burpees with top behind knees. So anatomically speaking, good mornings, hip extension flexion with torso flexion extension. Squats, hip, knee, ankle flexion extension with slight lumbar flexion. Deadlifts, hip, knee, ankle flexion extension. Upright row, elbow flexion with scapula elevation. Behind forward alternating presses, that's just elbow extension. And then lastly, the burpees and high knees, extension of hip, knee, ankle, followed by elbow flexion, extension, and hip, knee, flexion. Okay, so this is just a little tutorial how to use the assault bike. So I put the pedal or the seat pad right below my hip, about an inch or 2. That's good enough. You want your leg to be fully extended when you're rowing or cycling on the bike. So right there on my hip crest. And then as far as the actual pad seat, how forward or how back, I always put in the middle. More forward, more quad dominant, further back, more glute dominant. But anyways, middle is the best. Get a bit of both worlds. And I'll just show you how I use it. So obviously there's 4 attachments. You can use your arms and your legs, but you don't have to. You can either use your legs or just your arms or both. But again, that main importance is when you're cycling or biking, you want to get a full extension of the knee. Full extension, going through full range of motion. And that's the assault bike. Alright, so here's the first warm-up. What we're going to do, assault bike. Again, you can use any type of cardio you want. I just like assault bike because you use your arms and your legs. And everything is tracked, and you can look at all the parameters, intensity, time, watts, things of that nature. So this is a warm-up, so you don't have to kill yourself. You have to just go at a gradual pace, start increasing bit by bit. Personally, I like using my legs first for a couple minutes, then including my arms, hands, and then finishing strong. Totally up to you. You can use just your hands, just your feet, but again, the purpose of this cardio is to get your whole body incorporated. So at least use all of your extremities within the 5 minutes. Alright, so getting off here, we're going to start doing the rounds. So good mornings first, essentially just a hip hinge. So torso goes down, butt goes back, and then goes forward. Then you do your squats. Deadlifts. Showing you from all the angles. Upright row. Behind the head presses. And then forward presses. Lastly, we have burpees, so jumping up and doing a push-up. You don't have to do a push-up, you can just jump up and go down and come back up, but then followed by high knees. Do at least 12, be explosive. Now that I showed you all this stuff, now let's actually get into it. So, good mornings, hip extension, flexion, with torso flexion extension, activating the hamstrings and glutes, leg extension, hip extension, followed by a flexion. Moving on to squats, so hip width apart with the feet, knees out, toes slightly out, sitting down, you can parallel or even lower if you want. It depends on your mobility. And then keeping the back straight as much as you can, looking up, chest up. Again, this is a warm-up, not a race. So I have the barbell. You don't have to use the barbell or weight for the warm-up. I personally like doing it since we're going to do a lot more Olympic weightlifting in this video. So you're going to work with the barbell either or. Might as well get used to it in the warm-up. So deadlift. Flexing everything and then extending. So pretty much sitting and standing, kind of like a squat. Make sure your back is straight. Try not to hunch too much. Come down as close to your body, engaging your lats by pulling in. Nice and easy. Sitting down, standing up. Nice and vertical. Straight line. Next, we have upright rows. It's simply elbow flexion, scapular elevation. Make sure the arms are close. My arms could have been even closer if I wanted to, but the main thing here is getting the elbows out. Kind of looking like a scarecrow. Now we have presses, so forward and backward, alternating presses, just simply elbow extension. A slight head flexion and extension, because when you're doing a shoulder press, you want to just press through. Notice I'm not going really fast. Everything is controlled at a good pace. You're just feeling everything out. You're warming up. You can start increasing your speed and intensity as you move on to the further rounds. But remember, warm up, you're not trying to exert so much energy and be totally fatigued. Next, we have the burpees. So the jump, drop down, push up, drop down, push up. So you don't have to go into a push up. You can just drop down, legs out, and then legs back in, and then jump. It's perfectly fine. Push up if you want. You can do it on your knees as well. Totally up to you. And then high knees. Just get some explosion in there. Neuromuscular jolt. You're going to use a lot of power in these Olympic weightlifting techniques you'll see later. And that's pretty much the round. So now just 2 more rounds of this. Make it easier. You can go slower, harder. You can add weight, go faster. You don't even need the barbell, so you can just do the body movements. Add the barbell to make it harder. All right, exercise 1 and 2. So we have Olympic lift, snatch, clean variation exercises. You need pretty much the same things for both: barbell, platform, safety clips, weighted plates, and Olympic weightlifting shoes preferred. It's not a necessity, but it's definitely going to make it easier, give you more dorsiflexion, ankle mobility. Even if you don't have Olympic weightlifting shoes, you can get something with elevated heels, like boots. Boots are nice, rigid, elevated heels. Those are nice. Not heels. Please don't get heels. It's dangerous. Anyways, what are you going to do with this equipment? So, snatch variations. First one we got snatch pulls. So, snatch pull, essentially just hip, knee, ankle flexion followed by rapid extension with scapular elevation. That's pretty much what a pull is. So, what we're going to do is snatch pull in a power position 2x5. Snatch high pull power position 2x5. So high pull difference is you do everything is the same from regular pull, just now followed by elbow flexion at the top. As you shrug, you actually bring your elbows in and up, and the barbell should raise a lot higher. Lastly, low hang snatch pull. So low hang basically means the barbell's below the knees. So the same movement, just now you're starting a little lower than the power position, and we'll go into the power position later in the actual video. Actually, let's talk about the second exercise, power snatch, because I did all my exercises in one video, so you can see all of them. I'll make sure to indicate when I stop and start the new exercises. But anyways, so exercise 2, power snatch. So power snatch, again, these are going to be power position mainly and then or from the ground. But power snatch, this is the more intense version of the pull. You're adding more movements and complete movement. So hip, knee, ankle flexion followed by rapid extension with scapular elevation, external rotation of the arms, elbow extension, pressing out, and then the hip, knee, ankle flexion followed by extension. That kind of like the dip, drive, and dip/catch. So Olympic weightlifting, there's a lot of movements, and it takes years and years to learn. But that's hopefully brief enough and it gives you a picture in your head. So power snatch, power position. And you catch, when you catch your ankle, we'll go into that in the video. So next, hovering power snatch from the ground. So you stand up like a deadlift, just with the snatch grip, which we'll talk about too. Snatch deadlift, and then you go down slowly. You slowly decline, you slowly go down, and then you stop the weight right above the floor. You don't touch the ground again. So right above the floor, that's your starting position, and then you do the same power snatch, just at a lower angle, or depth, I should say. And then tempo power snatch, so the real power snatch, just now from the ground, plus it's slow, there's like a negative. So hip, knee, ankle flexion followed by slow to fast extension. So right when you get to a knee or past the knee, that's when you can be more explosive and do your regular speed as far as the power snatch, because these movements are fast. All right, pretty sure that's it. All right, so this is exercise 1A. This is the first one. So snatch pulls. First, we're going to go over grip, how to put your hands. So this is the scarecrow method. There's the elbow method, 2 elbow lengths. Pretty much give you the same distance. But for the snatch, you have a wide grip. You can do the scarecrow position and then go down, and then that's essentially where your hands are placed on the bar. And also the bar should kind of fall into this nice hip crease right above your genitals, right below the iliac crests. Nice contact point. Just showing you again the wide grip, scarecrow, come to the bar. And now everyone has a little bit different grip too, but this is the most common way to find for everyone, especially beginners. See that little hip crease, nice contact point, because you are going to make contact, but that's not the goal. It's just a byproduct of your triple extension. But anyways, that's kind of where the contact point should be and where your bar should rest while you're just holding it like I am right now. So let's go into this. This is the power position. So what is the power position? So basically, essentially what it is, this is one of the most important positions right before you go that full triple extension. Triple extension, the ankle, knee, hip, where you generate the power and essentially jump. So this is after you scoop it past your knees and lift it past. So kind of like the second pull, if you will. This is right before you make contact. This is this essentially the position right before you explode with the bar going up and making contact. So a very crucial position in Olympic weightlifting. So this is the snatch pull, just demonstrating the full movement right here from the ground. The barbell would be higher if I had plates, but anyways, your hip, knee, ankle flexion, and then you do extension, essentially standing up with scapular elevation. So when you do the triple extension, you will get hip contact with the bar because you're just standing up and the bar's in the way, so there's going to be contact. And then when you make contact with your hitting point, usually in your hips, you're going to shrug, or that scapular elevation, and that's essentially what it is. So now instead of doing it from the ground, you're going to do it from the power position. Power position, how to get into it, you stand up and then you just bend down. So you're not leaning forward, not leaning back, you just simply bend down. You flex your knees slightly, so it's right below that hip point, that contact point, and then you just rapidly explode up. Make it harder, add weight. Make it easier. PVC pipe is usually good pretty much for all of these Olympic weightlifts since we're using a barbell. Using a PVC pipe is great, or broomstick. This is a nice way to get the technique down without having heavy resistance. Obviously, you can add more weight or make it faster, but again, these movements are very complicated, very complex, so, take it easy. Even if it feels light at first, the movements you have to understand before adding weight. You have to set a foundation before adding weight. So bending down, coming up. Bending down, coming up. And you see my bars kind of going a little bit forward, so it's a little too much. You want the bar to go straight up. Again, Olympic weightlifting is amazing, but it takes years to master. So even, I made mistakes plenty of times. Anyways, bend down and coming up. Essentially like that. You want the bar path to be straight as possible. You don't want to go too far in front of you. And then we rest a bit. Second one, so this is snatch high pull. So essentially same thing, just now you're having that little elbow flexion and really raising your elbows up. Remember that scarecrow position? You want your elbows to face the ceiling vertically. Really shrug and get the elbows up. So I'm just standing up, getting the power position still. So drop down, slight flexion, then rapid extension. And upon the shrug, you actually flex the elbows and bring it up. Just a high shrug, if you will. High pull. All right, let's get into the third one now. Low hang snatch pull. So essentially these are all the same movements, just starting at different positions. So low hang just below the knees. This is kind of working your way to the ground because that's where you're gonna start. You know, when you actually get the movement down. But this is just right below the knee, so you have to actually part of first pull, then second pull. So you have to get your knees out the way, scoop back, scoop forward, and then rapid extension with just a regular shrug. So not a high shrug and a high pull, just a regular shrug. This is really just really working that transition from the knees and then past the knees. From first pull to second pull, because the transition is quite difficult, if I do say so myself. But again, going slow, controlled, keeping the bar close to you. Don't think of it as hitting with your hips, just think of it as standing up. The bar will hit your hips naturally. Don't even think about it. Next, we're going to move on to power snatches. So this is more of the actual movement of the snatch. You're not just doing the flexion, rapid extension, and scapular elevation, that shrug. Now you're actually shrugging it, externally rotating your arms, hands underneath the bar, and then pressing out. So you're actually doing a dip, drive, dip, or the catch, I should say, but just not a full catch. So when I mean catch is when you actually hold the barbell over your head at the highest position. So you can see right here, I'm going to demonstrate it right now. Hip width apart, feet slightly out, power snatch. So the feet do come out on that catch, a little jump. We're going to show it from the side. So for this one, feet hip width apart, mid-foot back pressure, you're leaning over the bar slightly. Now your hips are going to raise a little bit, but essentially your hips and shoulders should raise at the same time, like that. You don't want to raise your hips too fast, too early, then you'll take away the legs. But anyways, so hips, shoulders elevate at the same time, triple extension, scapular elevation, or elbow flexions, and then you get your arms under, externally rotate them, and then you press out, elbow extension, and then even though the bar is going up, you have to go under, so this has flexion of the hips, knees, ankle. This is, getting under the bar, what we say. You get under the bar, and then when you get under the bar, you press out with your elbows. And to get it under the bar, you can actually see how it kind of jump in place. Like that. So your feet go a little bit further out, and that slight little jump that gets you lower than the bar, or hopefully it does, and then you can press it up. Because as soon as you catch the bar, it's just really stabilizing yourself and standing up. But the power snatch is just like the snatch, just you're catching it higher up and you're not squat all the way down. You don't get to the actual true snatch depth. So just up there, catching it at the top. So we're doing power snatch from power position. So again, that power position is right below hip contact right before you do triple extension and catching it on top. Flexion, extension, press out, catch. And as soon as your hands go above you, your feet should make contact with the ground. Because again, you're jumping, so you'll hear like a loud slam for your feet contacting the platform. Again, with these movements, get a PVC pipe. If it's too hard, just do the movements itself. If it's too easy, which I really doubt, but if it is, then get more weight. Or you can do a different variation of the exercise. But yeah, these are not easy, no joke. Take your rest appropriately. I had to. I was sweating. It's just using all of the power, so it's definitely draining. Just make sure also anytime you're doing Olympic weightlifts that on the platform you have enough space. Hopefully people are not behind you, because if you do lift incorrectly and you'll have to bail out. When I mean bail out, you throw the bar away, you jump out of the way of the bar falling down on you. Hopefully the bar doesn't roll back or hit somebody or something. So just, it's nice to make sure no one's around you and you're on a big platform. Alright, so this is the second variation, hovering power snatch from the ground. So when I mean ground, that's just, you have to stand up. So you have to do a deadlift, snatch deadlift. So like a regular deadlift, flexion of your legs, ankle, knee, hips, and then extension coming up. You're simply just standing up. And again, with Olympic weightlifting, cleans, snatches, not quite the same as a deadlift, so your butt's going to be a little, or your hips are going to be a little higher because you're leaning over the bar. You want your shoulders directly over the bar, if not slightly more forward, which is usually recommended. Hips a little higher than 9 degrees, and then hips and shoulders rise at the same time. Essentially, this is the first pull. Then when you get past the knees, the second pull, the triple extension, contact point, and then you get under the bar right here. It's the third phase, getting under the bar. And then lastly, you catch it at the top right there. So this is the power snatch, like I showed you before just now, called hovering, because you started to position close to the ground, but it's not fully on the ground. You're hovering over the ground. So this is just working your way to the ground, because this is really what stumps a lot of people, even myself, that transition, first pull to second pull. It's not easy. So just a great variation to help with that transition, essentially. Nice and controlled. Always with Olympic weightlifting, pretty much anytime you use a barbell as well, always close grip, always close grip. You don't want a barbell flying overhead, hitting something or someone. Hopefully not. Also, straps are pretty much not recommended, a no-go. If it's real lightweight, possibly, but for the most part, straps are not used, because think of it, if there's a lot of wrist mobility needed for these movements, and let's say you're stuck in a position and you want to let go, but your straps are holding on, and you break your wrists or you break your elbow, right? Or you can't look at the bar and the bar travels behind you and you have to travel with it. So straps pretty much not recommended if you're actually doing the snatch lift or the clean and jerk. Okay, so this is the third variation, tempo power snatch. So now we're actually on the ground. You made it to the ground, doing all the movements, all the phases. First, second pull, getting under, then catch. So same as before, the power snatch, hip, knee, ankle flexion, followed by extension, scap elevation, external rotation of the arms, elbow extension, and then that second dip drive in the catching portion. Only difference with tempo power snatch is from the other ones, you do start from the ground, and the most distinguishable aspect is the tempo. So you're slow. You're slow on the first pull, pretty slow, very controlled, very slow, and then when you get to right above the knees, if not at the knees, remember that scooping back of the knees is the transition between first and second pull. That's when you go into normal speed and you accelerate rapidly and be explosive like usual. So it's a controlled, very slow tempo motion at first. Very slow, very slow, very slow. Then boom, explosive. Okay? So the same movements, just now slower at first, and then boom. Because a lot of people are impatient with their contact point, or just standing up the bar too soon, doing triple extension too soon, raising your butt too soon. So there's a lot of impatience, I guess you could say, with these coordinated movements, because these lifts have so many body parts working together. It's insane. So having a slow motion where you can really control yourself and know exactly when to stand up, exactly when to scoop the knees, exactly when to make contact, it definitely helps.